The marble hall outside the Capitol briefing room buzzed, with the low hum of reporters preparing their gear, adjusting lapels, and murmuring among themselves. Then the doors creaked open. Karoline Leavitt, former GOP strategist and now a rising political firebrand, stepped up to the podium. Her blazer was sharp, her expression tighter than usual. Cameras snapped. Flashbulbs lit the room like strobe lights. Her name was trending across every platform, but not for reasons she'd hoped. A veteran reporter leaned into his mic. Karoline, do you deny knowledge of the contracts named in Crockett's suit? She didn't blink. Let me be absolutely clear, she began, voice calm but firm. These claims are baseless, politically charged, and intentionally timed to distract from the success of our initiatives. Another reporter shouted over the noise. Is it true the court just expedited the process after new evidence was submitted yesterday? Her jaw clenched. She glanced off stage toward her legal team. One aide subtly shook his head, silently confirming the worst. This is a smear campaign. Karoline continued, a bit more strained now. I have cooperated fully, and I remain confident the truth will prevail. Backstage, two aides huddled around a tablet displaying an urgent court update. The docket now showed a compressed timeline. Subpoenas could be served within 48 hours. The civil suit had become a time bomb. Judge moved discovery up. They want all financials by Friday, whispered one aide to another. What? That's impossible. We're not ready. They're gonna freeze accounts. Possibly even seize devices if we don't move. From the podium. Karoline caught the exchange out of the corner of her eye. Her prepared talking points began to blur in her mind. The press kept firing questions. Are you leaving town? Did you personally authorize the fund transfers listed in the filing? Is there a paper trail? A bead of sweat traced down the side of her face. She gave a tight smile, gripped the podium harder than before, and replied, "This will not derail my mission. I've faced worse. I'll face this too." The flashbulbs continued, but behind her eyes, something had changed. Something urgent. Something final. The private airfield on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. was silent, cloaked in fog and darkness. It was well past 2 in the morning. A cold wind swept across the tarmac, tussling the edges of Karoline Leavitt's long black coat as she stepped out of a tinted SUV. Her heels clicked sharply against the concrete, echoing in the emptiness. She wore dark sunglasses, absurd at this hour, but purposeful, calculated. Her lips were tight, her posture rigid. A man in a leather jacket and shaven, ex-military by the look of him, met her at the base of a waiting private jet. Its engines purred softly, ready to go. The tail bore no markings. The kind of jet used when privacy was more than a luxury, it was survival. Zurich. The man asked, holding out his hand for her documents. She nodded. Make sure there are no stops, no refueling in Paris. I don't want to be traceable for at least 48 hours. He raised an eyebrow, but didn't question her. Flight plans clean. Your name's not on the manifest. Just K. Lynn. Karoline handed him a slim passport, dark blue. Diplomatic. One of the few strings she could still pull. She looked back toward the SUV, where a young aide stood beside the open door, trembling slightly in the cold. He held out a black SATCHEL. Your satellite phone's in there, he said softly, not meeting her eyes. Encrypted. Burner SIMs, and the access tokens for the crypto wallets, what's left of them. She took it with a nod, pausing only briefly. Has my server been wiped? We're almost done. The IT guys are shredding logs right now, but we couldn't touch the campaign servers, too many eyes on those. Karoline's jaw tightened. Then you better not have left any fingerprints. No ma'am. From across the airfield, headlights cut through the darkness, another vehicle approaching fast. Karoline flinched. What the hell is that? She snapped. The pilot turned, tense. Might be a patrol, or worse, press. No, she muttered, turning toward the stairs. I'm not waiting to find out. She climbed the steps 2 at a time. At the top, just before entering the cabin, She stopped and took one last look over the city lights twinkling in the distance. Washington, D.C., the city that made her, the city now hunting her. Asterisk inside. The cabin was dim, sterile, quiet. She sank into the leather seat by the window and exhaled, long and slow. Asterisk, the pilot's voice crackled through the intercom a few minutes later. We're airborne in 60 seconds. Asterisk, the door sealed shut. The engines roared louder. Karoline closed her eyes as the wheels lifted off the ground. Asterisk, she was gone. And for the first time in weeks, she wasn't on the defensive. Asterisk, at least, not yet. Across America, the sun was just beginning to rise, casting a warm orange glow over city skylines and sleepy suburbs. But inside the buzzing studios of cable news networks and digital newsrooms, no one was watching the sunrise. They were watching the feeds coming in from a dozen sources, all confirming the same explosive revelation. Asterisk, a breaking news banner streaked across the lower third of every major network. Asterisk, Karoline Leavitt reportedly fled U.S. amid accelerated $80 million lawsuit. Asterisk, in a sleek Manhattan studio. A morning show anchor straightened her blazer and looked directly into the camera. With a practiced mix of gravity and disbelief. Asterisk, this morning, shocking developments in the civil lawsuit filed by Representative Jasmine Crockett against political strategist Karoline Leavitt. Sources close to the investigation tell us Leavitt boarded a private jet early this morning and has left the country, possibly to evade mounting legal pressure. Asterisk, B-roll footage rolled of Karoline stepping out of a black SUV the night before, shot from a shaky phone camera across the airfield. Fence, grainy, but clear enough to see her boarding a jet. Asterisk, back in the studio, the screen split in two, bringing in a legal analyst from D.C., a former federal prosecutor with sharp eyes and a half smile. Asterisk, if this is true, this changes the entire posture of the case, the analyst explained. The court had just moved to expedite the discovery phase. We're talking subpoenas, depositions, and possible injunctions on financial assets. If Leavitt fled to avoid compliance, she may have escalated this from civil to criminal territory. We could be looking at obstruction, contempt of court even, triggering federal jurisdiction. Asterisk, on another channel, Representative Jasmine Crockett stood at a podium outside the courthouse, surrounded by reporters and flashing microphones. Her voice was steady, but there was steel beneath it. Asterisk, she can run. But this country is smaller than she thinks. We brought this case because truth matters. Justice matters, and I have no intention of letting anyone buy, spin, or fly their way out of accountability. Asterisk, the crowd of reporters erupted into questions. One asked, do you believe Karoline Leavitt is guilty of fraud? Asterisk, Crockett didn't flinch. I believe the evidence speaks volumes, and apparently, so does her disappearance. Asterisk, meanwhile, social media platforms exploded. Hashtag Leavitt FLEES, hashtag Karolinegate, and hashtag 80 million trended within an hour. TikTok videos speculated on her whereabouts: Zurich, Dubai, even Moscow. Twitter users debated whether she'd be extradited. Instagram accounts posted side-by-sides of her last known public appearance, with headlines like "Smiling yesterday, missing today." Asterisk, at the Justice Department, quiet discussions turned to louder ones. The possibility of opening a criminal investigation was no longer theoretical. A memo had already been drafted to the FBI field office in Washington. Asterisk, in a small federal building across town, a U.S. Marshal closed a case file, stood up, and picked up the phone. His words were short. Asterisk, she's airborne. Time to prepare the warrant. Asterisk, the hunt had begun. Snow fell in slow, deliberate flakes, blanketing the steep slopes of the Swiss Alps in a hush that seemed to muffle even thought. A black SUV wound its way along a narrow mountain road, tires crunching against the ice, before finally stopping outside a remote chalet nestled between towering pine trees. Smoke rose lazily from the chimney. No lights were visible from the outside. That was intentional. Asterisk, inside, the warmth of the fireplace glowed against polished wood walls and hand-carved beams. A pot of untouched coffee sat cooling on the stove. In the main room, Karoline Leavitt stood by a wide window overlooking the snow-draped valley below. Her silhouette was rigid, Her arms crossed tightly across her chest. Her breath, though indoors, still trembled with cold. Asterisk, she wasn't wearing the usual political armor now, no tailored suits or heels. Just thick wool, a scarf loosely wrapped, and the expression of someone who knew that peace was temporary. Asterisk, the satellite phone buzzed on the small oak table beside her. Asterisk, she didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked down at a legal envelope that had been shipped to a secure P.O. box in Zurich and Handel, delivered that morning by a man who didn't speak a word. The envelope sat open, the documents inside highlighted and annotated by someone. With meticulous, almost surgical care, Asterisk Crockett's legal team had filed for asset seizures. The crypto wallets weren't safe. Her name was now in an Interpol bulletin, not read, not yet but flagged. A courtesy alert had been sent to the Swiss government, quietly. They hadn't acted, but they knew. Asterisk, the phone buzzed again. She finally picked it up, pressing it to her ear without a word. Asterisk, a man's voice came through, low and firm. American, East Coast accent. Asterisk, they know you're in Europe. They don't know where, yet. Asterisk, Karoline didn't answer. Asterisk, you need to prepare for contingency. The voice continued. There's talk of making you the centerpiece of a broader financial misconduct probe. If they move fast, you could lose extradition protection. Asterisk, I'm not going to prison, she said flatly, eyes still fixed on the cold valley below. Asterisk, then disappear better. You need a new alias, new papers. We've got someone in Croatia who can handle it, but it won't be cheap. Asterisk, Karoline finally turned from the window, moving toward a small desk in the corner. Spread across its surface were multiple passports, some legitimate, some not. A handful of burner phones, SIM cards, a photo of her taken years ago at a fundraising gala, smiling, invincible, untouched by scandal. She pushed it off the desk. It landed face down on the floor. Asterisk, I need time, she said. Just a few weeks to shift the rest of the assets. Then I'll vanish. Asterisk, the voice on the other end paused. You may not have weeks. Crockett's team is leveraging every contact they have. She wants this to go federal. Asterisk, Karoline clenched her jaw. She's not the only one with contacts. Asterisk, just be smart, the voice replied. Then the line went dead. Asterisk, she set the phone down and slowly closed the thick curtains, blocking out the white world beyond the glass. Every detail of the room, every bag packed, every safe stashed in floorboards was part of a carefully constructed escape. And yet, nothing about it felt secure. Asterisk, outside, the snowfall intensified, cloaking the chalet deeper in isolation. Asterisk, inside, Karoline Leavitt stared at the flickering fireplace. Asterisk, she wasn't running anymore. Asterisk, she was preparing for war.